While many of us feel like dating is complicated, nuanced, and incredibly frustrating, the truth is it can also be an exciting journey that leads you to a fulfilling and loving relationship. However, if you have been dating in the past without really understanding who would make a good partner for you, and you focus on things like attraction and looks instead of the underlying characteristics of a person, then in today's video, we're going to discuss 5 character traits that you want to be mindful of when you're dating a new woman and how they can manifest in your dating experiences. Now, some of the traits I'm going to share with you today are also indicators of narcissism, but they are not necessarily exclusive to narcissism. They're certainly red flags when noticed consistently in a dating context. Now, before I dive in, of course, it's essential to remember that everybody has flaws and relationships do require patience, understanding, and communication. However, if you are noticing that these characteristics are consistently showing up in your dating experiences, despite open and honest communication on your end, then it's likely that this just isn't the partner for you. Now, the first character trait that you want to be mindful of is your partner demonstrating a lack of empathy? Now, empathy is our ability to understand and share the feelings and perspectives of another person. And it involves being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just see the world from their point of view so that you can respond to their emotions with compassion. Now, this trait plays a crucial role in your ability to build and maintain a loving and supportive connection with your partner because things are not always going to go smoothly or be perfect in your relationship. So it is important that your partner shows compassion and can deal with the toughness that is inevitable in life if you plan on maintaining a loving and long term relationship. So, how might this kind of lack of empathy show up in your dating experiences? Well, let's say you're going through a little bit of a difficult time. Maybe you're dealing with some stress at work, or you're even just having a personal crisis. What you're going to notice is that this woman will respond with indifference or dismissiveness rather than offering you support and understanding. She might even make you feel really judged and inferior because you're dealing with something difficult. Or she might even make it all about her. She might say that your stressful situation is causing her pain and suffering instead of offering you support that might make you feel even worse for what's going on. This might also show up in your relationship where your partner fails to validate your feelings during this tough time. And they might even say something like, "You're overreacting," or "You shouldn't feel this way," or "What you're going through is not a big deal." And of course, instead of feeling supported, it's going to make you feel unheard, unsupported, and maybe even more shameful than you already feel. This lack of validation is going to lead to frustration and hurt feelings because by showing this indifference, your partner or the woman you're dating is actually saying that your emotions are not valid and they're just not important. So, as you date and navigate a new relationship, make sure that you are noticing your partner can provide empathy and compassion towards you. The last thing you want to do is be 10 or 20 years into a relationship with a partner who doesn't care for you in a meaningful way. Now, a second characteristic you want to be mindful of is grandiosity. Now, this is a trait that's often associated with narcissism, and this is when an individual is constantly seeking admiration and validation, but it's often at the expense of other people. So, how this is going to manifest in your dating experience is when you notice that a woman you're dating has this constant need for attention and validation. She might be looking for a lot of praise from you or a lot of reassurance from you. And she might do this by frequently asking you for compliments or sharing her achievements in a boastful manner, or even becoming quite upset when they feel that they're just not the center of your world. So, this is going to make your relationship feel really one sided and perhaps make you feel as if you're not really good enough for this woman. The focus ends up being primarily on her ego and her desires, which is going to leave you little room for your own needs and your own interests. Now, this can show up in your relationship as excessive self centeredness, where this woman is going to consistently and constantly prioritize her needs, desires, and opinions above yours. She might dominate the conversations you have, frequently talk about herself, or show little interest in your thoughts, feelings, or experiences. Now, the truth is, in the early days, This can actually feel a little bit exciting because you might feel like this woman is a great storyteller, or she's really confident in herself, or maybe she's just the life of the party. But over time, this self centeredness is going to make you feel unheard, unimportant, and even invisible in certain regards. Nobody likes a know it all. So you're going to quickly tire of this behavior. So be mindful if you notice these things happening to you consistently. Now, the third character trait you want to be mindful of is entitlement. This is a characteristic that can quickly lead to selfish behavior. And entitlement is a belief or an attitude that someone or this person deserves special treatment, privileges, or advantages without necessarily earning or even meriting them. So if the woman you're dating feels entitled and believes she deserves special treatment or privileges from you without even putting in the necessary effort herself, this will quickly lead to a relationship where you feel you need to cater to her every whim, often disregarding your own needs and boundaries. Now, if the woman you're dating is expecting excessive material gifts or financial support without offering to contribute to the relationship, this is something you want to be mindful of, as she might just assume you should be catering to all her materialistic desires and financial needs simply because she is in a relationship with you. And while you might be tempted to shower this woman with gifts early on because you love her and you think she's beautiful, this can quickly create an unequal and financially burdensome dynamic in your relationship, which of course is going to lead to resentment and dissatisfaction because this makes an individual feel used and taken for granted. You will also notice this kind of behavior when the woman you're dating dismisses your boundaries and your personal space. An individual or a woman who feels entitled might believe she has the right to invade your privacy or even dictate how you should spend your time or make relationship decisions on your behalf without your consent. Now, this might be constantly checking in on your whereabouts or even ignoring your preferences for things like food, career choices, and clothing. Because this woman believes that she has the right to make all the decisions, which is going to be stifling and invasive and make you as a man feel disrespected, controlled, and overwhelmed. So, again, while it might be tempting in the beginning to cater to the whims of this woman, and maybe even sometimes you like what her opinion is and what she has to say, be careful it doesn't lead to a loss of autonomy within your relationship. Now, the fourth characteristic to be mindful of is, of course, manipulative behavior. Now, this behavior often goes hand in hand with selfishness and narcissism, and it involves using tactics to control or influence you for personal gain. So, if you notice that the woman you're dating is guilt tripping you, she's blackmailing you emotionally, or even gaslighting you, all of these things are going to completely erode your trust and emotional safety. So it is very important to be cautious if you notice consistent attempts to manipulate your thoughts, feelings, or actions in any new relationship. This might sound a little bit like the woman saying, "Hey, you always prioritize your friends over me," or "I thought we were supposed to be spending time together." Now, these types of statements are intended to make you feel responsible for her emotions and happiness, and it creates a really big sense of obligation and pressure. In extreme cases, you might even notice that your partner threatens to harm herself or makes suicidal references to try and coerce you into staying in the relationship or complying with her wishes. Now, this is emotional manipulation and it preys on your empathy and fear, which is going to create a toxic and manipulative environment. This will lead to you feeling trapped and controlled as you begin to feel responsible for preventing their harm, even if it means sacrificing your well being. And the last characteristic you want to be mindful of when you're dating a new woman is her inability to take responsibility. If you notice that the woman you're dating is refusing to take responsibility for her actions and cannot admit when she is wrong, or even tries to cutely downplay the consequences of her actions, it's going to be difficult to build a strong foundation. So let's say she forgets something incredibly important, such as an event she promised to attend in your support. She might downplay this by saying things like, "Well, you should have reminded me," or "It's your fault for not being more understanding." instead of her acknowledging the role that she played and taking responsibility for her inactions or actions. Perhaps this is going to show up in ways such as she might make hurtful or critical comments and then downplay the impact by saying, well, you're too sensitive, or it was only just a joke, or I didn't mean it like that. You're overreacting. Now, she'll refuse to acknowledge the impact of her actions and words and downplay the significance, which might make you feel awful for feeling that way in the first place. While these character traits in no way are specific to women or even specific to narcissism, it's important to understand them and know if they are occurring consistently in a dating or relationship context. And this person is not willing to acknowledge and work on these issues, then I would mark it as a very strong red flag and move on. Of course, it's also important to remember that everybody does have flaws and relationships require understanding, communication, and self growth. So if they are willing to acknowledge and work on these issues, then this is a great sign. However, always be mindful and trust your natural instincts and make sure you know how to prioritize your well being as you navigate dating women and newly forming relationships. I hope this video has brought some awareness to the specific character traits that you need to be mindful of so that you can navigate dating with more confidence, clarity, and just simply find a meaningful relationship that lasts. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button. Drop your comments below on your experience with dating and these character traits. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this one.